Casey. I'm editor-in-chief of AntMini.com, and welcome to this Hangout. We're glad to be with you today. We have with us today Ed Cronin. He is CEO of AHRA, the Association for Medical Imaging Management. We also have with us Christian Renaudin. He is founder and CEO of MarkeTech Group, the MarkeTech Research Group. They're based in California. And we're going to be discussing the Q3 numbers for the Medical Imaging Confidence Index. It's a quarterly survey of radiology administrators, and new numbers were released this week, and we actually have some pretty interesting findings in the new numbers. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Ed, can you talk a little bit about the role of the radiology administrator in today's imaging facility?
Sure. I think we, as the Association for Radiology Administrators, Medical Imaging Managers, we have a kind of a unique perspective on the imaging world. And I think if you look at it as a linear process, it's pretty straightforward, where a patient sees their doctor, who determines that it's necessary for an image to be taken. The patient then goes, depending on the situation, goes to their hospital radiology department or an imaging center, and a technologist creates the images using one of the many different modalities. A radiologist then reads and interprets the image and creates a report back to the referring physician, who then meets again with the patient and determines any treatments if necessary. So it's pretty straightforward, but if you really peel back the curtain from that simple process, there's really a lot that goes on behind the scenes that's necessary for it to be a smooth and quality experience for the patient. And that's where the radiology administrator, the imaging manager, really plays a central role. If you think of all of the components that go into that, somebody has to hire and train and manage the staff. The industry has to research and create new products, get them approved by the FDA. There's billing that needs to be done, integrating with IT systems, working with third-party payers. There's government regulations that keep everybody very busy complying. So there's a lot that goes on, and when you look at the interactions between all of those components, it's really clear that the imaging manager is at the center of that.
So they're really kind of the backbone of radiology here.
Right. They keep the whole process moving. And so 2 or 3 years ago, we decided that it would be, as the market was changing, as the economy was still not doing too well, with healthcare reform on the agenda of everybody, everything changing, we thought it would be interesting, at least interesting, hopefully useful, if we could take the pulse of our members on a regular basis. So we came up with the concept of a confidence index.
Okay.
And from there, we realized that to do it right, to do it well, we needed to partner with somebody that had the research expertise and the scientific background to make sure that our surveys were reliable and consistent.
Okay,
and
great.
That's when we partnered with Christian and his group at the MarkeTech Group.
Good. All right, Christian, I have a couple slides here that I'd like to share with us. So while I get those loaded, can you talk to us about some of the methodology behind the confidence index and what it's designed, how it was set up, and what it's designed to show?
My pleasure, Brian. So first, I would like to acknowledge the great partnership with AHRA in the creation of this index, which is really created the same way you have indices for consumer groups, consumer confidence index, same methodology. We also saw for a number of years the importance of the imaging administrator, imaging director, or manager. Title varies quite a bit, and we thought about creating this Image Pro panel, which is the foundation for the index. So we have created a sub-cohort of imaging administrators from the Image Pro panel. As you can see, 144 imaging directors and managers of hospital, the way we have ensured representation of the market is we calibrated this group with geographic location as well as bed size and institution type across the US. So this is a very carefully monitored and carefully crafted sample to make sure we represent the market. That's number one. Number two, and you can see on the map here all the different regions, how we represent each of the regions. Number two, we have made sure that we keep the same people over time. After 3 years now, we have about 90% retention. So 10% have had to be replenished because some people change or they don't want to do it anymore or retired. But it's remarkable, over 3 years we have the same people, and statistically this is the best because this is a longitudinal cohort, as I said, and you can measure statistically there are changes of confidence over time at the individual level, and that's key for good statistics. It's called a longitudinal design. So this is a really scientifically done index, and there are a number of questions that are used. I think some of the headlines are shown here. So there's a total of 12 questions, if I'm not mistaken. So we ask them the same question every time, every quarter, looking forward, not backward. That's why the industry is quite interested in this, because there's nothing like this that looks forward in terms of confidence. And so you can see the first area is to grow mostly in diagnostic interventional imaging. There's two sub-questions in there that are specific to diagnostic X-ray modalities as well as interventional modalities. The next topic is reimbursement from Medicare. Again, we're looking at breakdown within this index of diagnostic imaging as opposed to interventional. The third area is internal operating and staff cost control. In other words, their confidence that they will be able to remain constant. And here we differentiate operating expenses, not including staff, from staff costs per se. So we can break that down as needed. The last one, the one before last, is access to capital. And you know so well that there was a long pause in capital purchase 2-3 years ago because the capital market was frozen. And that's a key question area. So we look at both imaging equipment, IT, including PACS, risks, and other IT investment, and finally access to capital credit in general. You know, a lot of hospitals issue bonds to finance their purchase. And lastly, the ability to grow as a profit center, again, breaking down diagnostic imaging from interventional. So you can see all those areas, 12 questions total, and that we create a global index. And that's what you at MICI nicely have been showing every quarter, this overall score. I think it's important we talk about the scale for a second. Brian, if you can go backward, there is a scale from 50 to 150. And I think you can show this, the prior slide. One more. Okay, below 50, it's extremely low confidence. It's an absolute score. And above 150 reflects extremely high confidence. And you will see that the sub-indices vary anywhere between 60 to 130. So we have a pretty broad range of confidence change depending on the type of area of interest. So now you can go back to the line chart or the current quarter, I'm sorry, and I'm going to add speak for that if you want.
Are you waiting for me to comment on this? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. I think just some general comments on the index. As you can see, you know how it's tracked over the last 2.5 years. I think point number one is that that this is a trend line that we're looking at, and the longer it goes, the more significance it'll have. I mean, we kept these numbers for the first year kind of to ourselves because they really didn't have any significance. They're just how people were feeling at one point in time. And I think the real significance is how the index changes over time. So the more data points we have to add, I think this will become more valuable. Just in general, I think pointing out a couple of things. The administrators who completed the survey have low expectations that their revenue reimbursement rates will be sufficient.
And Ed, that's that bottom line down there, that lowest one that we see there.
That's yes. But at the same time, they still believe that that they will be able to maintain themselves or actually grow. They have high confidence as a profit center. So I think that kind of correlates with the fact that they believe that they'll be able to control their operating costs and keep it under control. So I think in general, administrators are optimistic that they'll be able to adjust to reflect the new realities. I think a lot of the pessimism is in the uncertainty of things, that it's difficult to plan, it's difficult to make decisions to buy a big new piece of equipment if you don't know what's going to be happening next year. And I just think the way that the whole healthcare debate is going in Washington, maybe last fall before the election, things look like they might become clearer, but since then we're back to where we are, where we don't really know what's going to happen. So I think in that environment, it's difficult to have optimism. So I think the fact that the participants are optimistic about their volumes will stay high, they'll still be able to control their costs and create profit for their institutions is a testament to their abilities.
Ed, do you see any particular ways that radiology administrators are adapting to this environment of uncertainty, kind of strategies that people are taking?
Well, I think that's one of the values that AHRA brings to the table in creating mechanisms for them to share information, best practices. We have a website that has a listserv that's very active. Over 2,000 people participate in sharing information, asking questions, and everybody realizes that things are changing. Nobody's got all the answers. So I think having the ability to share information and thoughts makes it gives people at least some confidence that they're not out there by themselves trying to face these issues.
Right, and that's kind of the benefit of joining forces with groups like AHRA.
Right.
All right, gentlemen, anything else that you would like to add regarding these Q3 numbers? Everything very interesting here.
Well, I mean, Brian, I think if you could show the geographic map and in a way that it stays there when I speak, I can comment on some of the differences because, again, we're just showing an aggregate, and there's a lot more data and more story behind the data if you look and slice and dice the index by geographic area, for example, or bedside. So I'd like to point out on the geographic map, if you look at East North Central region, in April to June timeframe, they were already having a low confidence in adequate reimbursement for Medicare from Medicare, so East North Central, right? We can see where it is on this map, Chicago area, as opposed to Mountain or Pacific, who were very optimistic, a little bit more optimistic about reimbursement. Sounds like they had less of an issue, relatively speaking, but everybody is pessimistic overall. And now, if you look at this July to September quarter, West-South Central is significantly, slightly more optimistic than the other groups. So things vary region by region, probably depending on how they deal with their local carrier. On the overall,
also bed size had some variations in.
Yeah, I was getting to it. So on the bed size, you can say that the ability to grow monthly interventional and diagnostic operation was far greater for the 300 beds or more than the less than 100 beds. So 81 score for 100 beds or less, and 115 for 300 beds or more in this last quarter. This current quarter, what's more noticeable on bed size is the ability to receive adequate reimbursement. Smaller hospitals are far more pessimistic than larger institutions who may have the adequate billing and support probably. Likewise, controlling internal operation and staff costs is just the opposite. Larger institutions are less optimistic, relatively speaking, than smaller institutions. 106 for larger, 300 beds or more, and 132 really optimistic that they will be able to maintain costs for the less than 100 beds. So just some illustration on how this varies by region and bed size as an example.
So it's not really a monolithic market out there. You can't sort of say that, you know, that certain statistics apply to everybody evenly.
Yes, and that's something we found here at the MarkeTech Group. Since we've been doing studies for the OEMs and contrast media for the last 15 years, is that the medical imaging market is a local affair. It's a very market-specific business where you could be in a region where things are really happy and good, and in other regions where people are totally depressed and can't find staff, can't find sonographers, have a hard time buying technology. So I don't think we can make a blanket statement about the overall market being more or less optimistic. That's why that line chart that you see for the last 3 years doesn't change significantly, but overall, people are not enthusiastic about reimbursement, even though they are able to do more with less, which is what this healthcare reform is about. It is forcing people to be more efficient.
Okay, great. All right, gentlemen, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just that we appreciate MICI being a partner with us on and getting this information out. We also have it on the AHRA's website and on the MarkeTech groups as well. So we welcome anyone to contact us if they want to talk about it or have any questions or comments. We'd love to hear them.
All right, very good. Ed, Christian, I'd like to thank you for being with us today. I think this was a very informative session, and look forward to having you back on in the future.
Great.
Signing off for AntMini.com, my name is Brian Casey.